Hi all. Right, well the next impulse is going to be an allied impulse. Thought I was going to have a little more time, so not sure I'm going to get this happen or not, but I just thought I'd start the next part of the video up. I've just uploaded the 18th part 7, so this will be the first bit of part 8. And I'm kind of up to date, so I've actually had Martin's give a few comments regarding part 7, which is quite nice to know somebody's watched it and maybe made a comment, so it feels like I could move on without worrying about any mistakes. Regarding 12.21, when I was talking about, let's zoom in on the area concerned. It was the attack, was it there? Yeah, the reserve placement unit, and I was humming and hawing, and I felt like I had it right, and then I wanted to go back and look at it again. I think 3 times I talked about it. He says I've got this right, and yeah, I think sometimes you just look at rules and you think about something else, and then you end up saying, oh well, maybe that should happen, and so yeah, they're tiebreakers. If more than one hex meets the requirement, you place the unit in a hex causing the defender to be surrounded, then in a hex not across a river, then in an empty hex, then in a hex with a few German units. If more than one choice remains, place the hex closest to the reserve unit's army objective. And that's what I'd done. I think there was a unit here and a unit here, and so we didn't want to put it across the river. There was no empty hex option. So, but that was a bit I was wanting to, and like Martin says, you don't backtrack once you've looked up. If all the relevant hexes, I suppose let's just say if all the hexes had been across the river, then that's a different story, yeah. But they weren't. There was still options that went across the river. Unfortunately, there was not an option for an empty hex. So yeah, he says that. He says tiebreakers. You didn't interpret 12.21 correctly. Tiebreakers should be read exactly as you did initially. I think that's my initial thought, and then I started overthinking it. I.e., surround the defender if possible, if not possible, or if more than one hex will lead to surround, then look for a hex not across the river. If not possible, or still more than one hex, you look for an empty hex. So he's saying there that if all the hexes were across the river, then you look for an empty one of those hexes. So we could have still placed it in there. It's just tiebreakers, and then the final tiebreaker is closest to the army objective. He says you don't backtrack, so you don't look at one and then look at the next one and go back, which I think it was me just getting carried away with things. Okay. So he then was kind of giving me some praise for noticing the supply issue that we backtracked this unit to find that there was, and also he never mentioned anything about my movement with the arrows. So hopefully all that was right, and I do feel pretty good about that. There was no mention of that. He does say in the end that he thinks the resulting move was perfect. Talks about the detachments kind of throwing him off, and you're right, you look at these detachments and you initially don't think you can trace supply through them, let alone maybe round about them. It is kind of off-putting, so it makes it a bit trickier to look for these things. But I think I was just lucky with that, spotting that. It was when I was looking at the town situation from some other units, wasn't it? I spotted the town. So good to know also that he thinks that moving that there was right. So I suppose also that makes me believe that the movement initially with the arrows must have been right as well. Like I say, it hasn't mentioned that, but sounds like it was, which is good. That means, you know, I've got. It sounds like I've got that. And the last thing he mentioned, which was interesting, was the talk of this Allied supply tracing. Now, when we took Consdorf, this road hex gets shut off. It's no longer an Allied supply road. A supply head, you know, it doesn't. You can't trace that as supply. And then, like I then mentioned, once Maersk gets taken, if Maersk gets taken, this road, and this road all get shut off as well. But then we're looking at these two hexes, thinking, well, they're not shut off. They're not part of the roads. Well, Martin says, I definitely agree that all map edge hexes east of the captured towns in 13.14, and 13.14 lists the towns Consdorf, Mersch, Arlon, I think's one of them, and then up the top you've got Eupen or Verviers, and he says that that all the hexes east of the towns should be invalid for tracing Allied supply, and not just the road hexes. Now that makes complete sense. I wish it was said in the rulebook, unless I'm interpreting it wrong. Certain road hexes on the north and south map edge cease to be valid Allied supply sources. Yeah, I mean it doesn't make that clear to me anyway. Well, unless there's another bit that talks about it, it's not mentioned in that, but it just talks about these road hexes. I mean, maybe I'm just to assume that should be cut off as well, and maybe all you guys out there would think about it that way. It sounds like Martin's just believing that these would be shut off, but I'd prefer that to be written in, even just the way Martin said that any hexes on the map edge east of Consdorf, you know, are not able to trace supply. I'm pretty sure that wording could have been used somewhere. It was not an awful lot of words, or you know, any hexes east of the towns, you know. But I like that thinking. That makes sense, and it does mean that this unit could move away, because he's not got to worry about this hex here. Now at the moment he still has to worry about this hex, because this is slightly west of Consdorf, and this gets shut off when Mersch gets taken. So I still believe that I couldn't move that unit, I don't think. I mean, the only hex I can move it to would be this one, wouldn't it? Which isn't moving closer to that unit or anything. So I think he's got to sit there until Mersch gets taken, and then it will be freed up a bit. But I like that thought. Yeah, all hexes east of the town, and maybe you guys are seeing that as well within 13.14. I'm not quite seeing it that way, but it makes more sense. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's one other thing. Well, yeah, I noticed when I'd fixed this mess with moving this unit, and we moved them along to here. It was here, wasn't it? And then I realised this town was Allied supply traceable, and then I ended up being able to move them to here. But with all that, the unit in La Roche, we already had moved it out of La Roche, thinking that there was no problem with supply. Let me just take him out of there and put him, I think we end up with him here, somewhere like that, initially. And if you remember, I don't believe supply can be traced because, what is it? This unit's along here. That's it. The Allied supply is traceable to this because, yeah, you can't get down. I'm counting 1, 2, you can't trace through this road, remember. And then I realise I can actually go 1, 2 onto the road here, not interfering with that zone of control, and then we've got supply trace. So I then go back and fix that, and say, right, well, you know what, he can't move at all. But I then go back and fix this, putting this unit in, not there. Is it in there? There's a detachment there. Is that where it was? It was. I just think I've not moved the detachment, Grant. That's right, isn't it? Grab one of the cubes at me. Oops. Right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm starting to doubt myself. Hang on. Yeah, it was that hex. I had left the detachment in there, accidentally after all the carry on. Well, obviously now that this unit is selector number 1, remember, so he would have moved before this unit. So he's now moved there once we've fixed all this, and I know this is a lot of messing about, but once he becomes there, then ally supply can't be traced down through here anyway. So I've not looked at it properly yet, but I'm just wondering if it's possible that this unit could have made a move closer to his army objective. And I think he definitely is able to. No, he's not. Yeah, because I did have a glance at this and then thought, but hold on, Grant, you can go 1, 2, 3, even into that hex, and then that traces down into Bastone. So even by moving that 1 hex, yeah, I did think that if he moved here, but that's not going to be closer to his army objective. Yeah, I don't think Allied supply is traceable to the town there. Even if you put it there, 1. Oh, wait a minute, that's a possibility. So, right, let me have a look. Let me have a pause here. Okay, I think he can move. He can't move there. And this hex is the same distance from his army objective to what this one has. So this hex he can move, and actually at first started thinking that hex would have worked too, and it's slightly more west, it's the same distance for that one, but you can just trace across into there and then through there and away. But this hex here, he can't trace that way, and he can't trace down to this road, and that's 1 hex closer to his army objective. So I actually do think that's going to be a move, yeah. Yeah, I think with this unit moving back from there to there, that does enable that guy to move to there. And I think initially we moved him into that hex, so at least he's made a little bit of a move. And Allied supply is not traceable to La Roche. Basically now because that unit got moved back a bit. Okay, I think that's good. So right, let's see if I've got time for an Allied impulse. I really don't know what to do. I've got the 8 core card, the 5th core card, and a no command. I had this crazy thought up here of using the 5th core and attacking this unit. I've got 6 strength there, and then chucking in tank battalion, chucking in engineers to get to 8 strength. So 8 against 4, thinking I was getting 2 to 1. And then of course I would have quite a few chip pools. I've got an elite unit, but this guy's in a west wall, so his strength is actually 8 when he's defending. So it would be 1 to 1 odds. I'd use my 3 cards up. I'd get 1, 2, 3. I'd get 5 chip pools. I'd have armor. I'd have elite. I don't know. The thing that worries me is these guys, they're going to be in low supply. I mean, obviously, yeah, these guys should have moved back a long time ago, probably. I think like I say, I mean, I have played the Allied solo before, 2 or 3 times, but I think you probably do. You don't want to run away from VP though, but then again, you know, maybe I wouldn't have lost Verviers if I'd moved back and just sacrificed these 2 VPs to like protect the 5 back there. And not only that, I'm just, you know, I'm behind their lines, you know. I'm right in the middle, I'm all trapped and going to be in low supply. And it's not just the units, these units in here as well. They're in all sorts of trouble. They're stuck in the middle. So I guess that's maybe why I was thinking about just having a random go at that guy, but I don't know if that's silly or not. I mean, he's still got, what did I say? I think it was eight cards he's still got. That would be me just sitting, letting him do what he wants then. But there's nothing clever I can think about doing, so I just need to pass and use them for like combat tactics, engineers, tank battalion, corps artillery. That's all I can see myself doing. Even I thought, okay, I'll move some 5th Corps units about, but this guy's in Trois Ponts, they guys are all trapped. The only guy I would maybe move is this, but I need to be careful about how I move them because he's stopping him from moving towards Liège, so I'd need to be wary. But then again, if first SS activate again, get round about this guy, oh dear. Nah. I'm actually tempted to try that then. 1-to-1 odds though. But I mean, we've got some things in favour because we're going to have armour. He's a green infantry unit. We've got elite. You know? He's got a unit adjacent to him though, which is going to be a bonus. And he's in a forest. And a west wall, which soaks a hit up. I forgot. Yeah, as well. As well as the fact that he's 8 strength. Yeah, maybe not. Okay, I think I'm going to go and sleep on that one. I did say I didn't have that much time, but I did think I might be able to get the Allied Impulse on the way, but maybe I'll really think about that one overnight. But obviously you guys will just see the next part of the video appearing. So yeah, a lot just nothing there really. Well, there was something, some explanations and understanding of the rules and mistakes getting fixed. Okay, I'll be back soon guys, cheers. Hi all. Right, been away for a couple of days, so not been doing much. Still wanted to get this next Allied Impulse on the go. Still not sure what I want to do. I've had a comment from John Brown regarding the 18th part 6 and the comment regarding 9.21 restrictions on German movement, and he mentions that regarding the movement of the 116 Panzer units of 58 Corps. Now I think it's something I was sort of thinking about, and if you remember, when I moved this unit with arrows and then ended up moving it here, I stopped here just to see, you know, if there was any problems with supply getting traced while he was stopped here. But what John's pointed out, and which I don't think I like this rule, and I'm not sure if I mean whether I like it or not, if it's a rule, and if it is the way he's saying it, which it seems to be written that way, then that is that, and whether I like it or not is, and I'm just not 100% sure if it's been the intention when you read slightly more into the actual rules. I mean, what he's saying in the very last part of 9.21, the very last small paragraph says, these restrictions apply to every hex of German movement and advance after combat. So every hex that you make a movement into, these restrictions should apply. Okay, so what he's saying there, and I think this is why I don't like it, because this game's tough enough to follow all these little rules and get caught out with things. Whether this is maybe easier in practice than I'm thinking, but it feels like it's a lot more to be thought about. Now, is it something that I've thought about in the past? I don't think so, but I did stop, back with this unit, I did stop and wonder here while I was moving this unit if supply was traceable in between things, but I don't think I have thought about it. I mean, a German unit could move with extended movement a full 10 hexes, and every one of those hexes comes under these restrictions. This is what John's pointing out, and it does say they apply to every hex. I mean, I don't know if the intentions... I don't think I've been looking at it that way. I think I've been moving the unit and then checking if there's any problems once the unit's ended, where it's ended. Now, looking at we've got A, B, C and D. Just looking at D, which is probably the one that was that's relevant in this situation. Now that says, do not move if doing so would create a condition in which ally supply is traceable to an empty German town, city or West Wall hex. Now, I don't know, where was this unit? Let's retrace this unit and have a look at this then. Right, so we know this guy was back here, and I'm going to remember where he is. I made the move that many times that I probably shouldn't forget it. And the issue had always been this town, ally supply traceable to this town. So, and then when I first make the move, I end up away along here, and then we find out ally supply can be traceable up and around, and no, it's just down. Where is it? It's up to this road, yeah, and then down. So putting him here was wrong, so I ended up backtracking him to there, still following them, still doing movement, arrow movement, and I think he extends his move by 1, and then that stops that supply. But let's just have a look, because I'm pretty sure the first hex of movement, if we're going by what John's saying, and if I'm following correctly, and if I'm understanding the rules correctly, as soon as this unit makes one movement into there, then that's it, he's breaking the restriction. So if this is what you're saying, John, and admittedly it does say these restrictions apply to every hex of German movement and advance after combat. And if that is the case, that's as far as that unit could move. Now, you know, if he was allowed to continue, he could move into there, and then you could say, well, now supply is not traceable because I'm blocking the zone, I'm zone of control in this road, which is what this supply trace was coming down. But this hex alone, the first hex that he moves into, breaks that restriction, because ally supply can go 1, 2, 3, 4 onto this road, into here, down through Hooflays. Doesn't need to, you know, you can see that it's only got zone of control there and there, right down through this detachment into Bastogne and away. So if John's got that right, and if I'm understanding what he's meaning, which I think that's what he's saying, and reading that wee paragraph in the rules, that's breaking those every hex of German movement. Well, there's my, sorry, it's there. My first movement is 1 into there, that breaks restriction 9.21D, because ally supply is now traceable to a German town. I don't think that's right. I feel like you should be able to carry out the actual movement, and I don't think the intention has been to check every hex like that, John. If that's what, I know it looks like it's written that way, but I don't feel like it's meant to happen like that, because I mean, I think that just would be a nightmare. And if that is the case, I probably broke some rules already further on. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how to look at this. Yeah, I don't know how to deal with this, because I'm not I'm not sure. I can see the way the rules look like they're written as and what John says does seem to be the case. It feels like you should be able to finish the move of the unit before then checking for supply. And I know the bottom, the last part says every hex of German movement. I'm just wondering if that's been written, not thinking about what I'm just talking about, that they complete the whole movement. But I mean, he's got a very good point that's how it appears to be written. Okay, you know what I think I might do here. This is only going to be about a 10-minute video, and I've not got anything else that I've done yet. And I'm up to date. I've got 18 part 8, I think it is it? Or is it 7? 7 or 8 anyway. And I know this would end up being a short video for part 9, and I could call it something else, but I'll probably not. I'll probably just leave it as part 9. Well, hang on, Grant. Could I not do something else to add a bit onto this? But what I want to do is, right, putting that unit back to there. John, please have a look at this, and make sure I'm clearly understanding what you're meaning. The point he makes, I think, that there shouldn't have been a detachment left because I'm moving away to grab other hold value hexes for detachments, which is instruction that says that if you can grab them, you know, you go through a route that can grab them. And apparently that's where he says I've allowed the restriction to be broken. But right there, John, that move from there to there, moving from here to here with movement arrows and extended move, as soon as I move into that hex, going by what you're saying, I think I'm breaking that restriction. So I want to know if I'm getting my understanding right, if that's how you see it. And also if anybody else wants to chime in, Martin, it'd be great if you could have a look and maybe see what you thought about this too. Because yeah, I don't feel like that's been an intention of the rule, but I can see what you're saying. So okay, I'll see if I can add a bit more onto this without affecting any, because I mean, if it is the case, I've got to bring this unit back again, and he's probably going to move one hex. He's probably going to move from here to here, one hex closer to his army objective. So, but I don't want to do that, and I want to make sure that I have got what John's saying is right. I could be picking it up wrong, and he's meaning no, I don't mean that. Or somebody else might chime in and say, you know, I don't think it's a rule. I suppose I could look in the forums. Okay, I've found one part back in 2016. Tom Cassell replied, I'll just read the bit that's relevant. He says, the restrictions apply hex by hex. A unit might start moving with a method but halt due to, and he's mentioned D, which is the one we were talking about, 9.21D. So basically saying a unit might start moving with a method but halt due to 9.21D. Which kind of says that just what I've said there would mean that that unit would have to stop there, because it's now, well, it wouldn't be able to move, would it? It wouldn't be able to move. Or is that what he's saying? Oops, sorry. Yeah, I'm going to let you guys have a look before I continue on, I think, regarding this. So John, let me know if I'm reading what you're saying, and anybody else, let me know how you feel, if that's how the rule should be interpreted. If that's the case, this unit wouldn't be able to move from this hex. So that's the example I'm giving you, that he wouldn't be able to move from this hex. Well, he certainly wouldn't be able to move into this hex from this hex and carry on doing other things, because as soon as he moves into that hex, then ally supply is traceable at that town. So I'll put that guy back there now. So let me know, guys. I'll try and carry on maybe with an allied impulse, as long as it's not going to affect anything down here. If it does, then I'll maybe just upload this video. It's just rather than upload it at like 12 minutes long, add a wee bit more to it. Right, Allied Impulse, let's see if we can at least do a bit of that. I'm going to activate the 5th Corps. I'm still swithering up here about making this attack. I know you're all shouting, don't do it, Grant. It seems a bit crazy. I mean, he's in a forest. His positives are he's in a forest, he's 3 steps, and he's in a West Wall hex. So he's going to soak up a hit. I mean, if I want to have any chance of like retreating him, you know, it's got to be far too many hits, and I'm getting 5 chip pulls. It's just not worth it, is it? Just the annoying factor is that I can't do any with these units. They're locked in, and they're just about to go into low supply once we get into the next day. I can't move. If I could move them back, I would. So it's basically I've got the card to activate them, and I can't really do nothing. Right, I'm going to just move the card. Well, actually, I can swing it around a little bit. I'm going to activate them still, I think. Yeah, and I'm going to move this unit. This is about the only unit I can really move, because the rest, this is in, sorry, this is in Ufe, and this is in Toipon, and both of them are 5 victory points, and they're single units. I mean, they're vulnerable enough, so I'm not going to be able to be moving them out of the way. But this guy can head towards Liège, I think. Means breaking zone of control, so 1, 2, and then 3 into there. I'll then let him next movement to get into, actually will we be able to get into the main hex? 1, 2, no he won't, because there's not a bridge across there, don't think. Actually, is there? It looks like there is a bridge, yeah. Oh, right, anyway, I'll look at that when it comes to it. So I move him there, and like I say, that appears to be all I'd be doing. The other 2 units up here have already got IP, so I can't build, and the other 3 units are all in victory point towns. So unless I decide to make this attack, that would be that. It's going to go wrong, isn't it? But shouldn't I at least try? I mean, it does mean I'm using up the other 2 cards in my hand to get 1-to-1 odds, 5 chip pools, and have armour, elite units. Now, there's quite a few pluses there, but and then he's green. The minuses are he's a unit adjacent, like we say, he's in a forest, he's in a West Wall. Now, I don't feel like it's... I know I'm going to regret it if I do it. So I'm just going to have to accept that these units are in trouble, and that's my fault. I should have got them out of there sooner. Okay, well, seems like a bit of a tame impulse, but I mean, I've only got these 3 cards left, so well, now only 2 cards. I do kind of feel like having an engineer's combat tactic and a tank battalion combat tactic is probably, you know, a reasonable thing. Or I could put a couple of roadblocks somewhere maybe. We'll see. Okay, I'll grab the next 2 cards for the Germans and we'll have a look. And as long as they're not interfering with what's happening down in the middle of the board there, I'll maybe try and add this on to this video and at least have something that you can look at. Actually, I've just realised I think I have made a cut already, haven't I? Yeah, I have. It was more ramblings. In fact, it was talk about some of that nonsense, wasn't it? So yeah, it's probably worth uploading. Or should I look at the 2 cards and consider it? 1532. No, you know what? I'll just stop there, and I'll join this on to the bit video that I made previously. So I know it's not. This whole video is going to be a lot about not an awful lot happening, but questions and answers needed. So please let me know about this, guys. Please have a look, John. Let me know if I'm understanding you correctly, and Martin, please chime in. and let me know your thoughts on that. If it is the case, then it's bringing up a whole new situation for me, something that I don't think I've thought about before. So but I want to play the game right, so let me know, guys. Okay, cheers.